We haven't heard anything for about half an hour or so. We can see live pictures of Peshawar. That perimeter is still in place, military vehicles there. What's happening at the school, do you know?
Well, basically, we're expecting the army to secure the area, to clear the area. They are saying they have killed 6 gunmen in all. We know from Taliban themselves, when they told us earlier that they said they've sent six of their gunmen to attack their school.
Using Project Plus, I could visibly see a difference right away.
Get all this, $112 value for just $29.95. Don't wait. Call 1-800-555-4792.
But Angie's List has reviews on all kinds of home pros. So does Home Advisor. And only Home Advisor can instantly match you to the right pros for your project.
Really?
Yup. And the pros pass background checks before they're ever listed.
Oh, well, that must cost way more than Angie's List.
Actually, Home Advisor is free. It's free? Totally free.
Home Advisor, the free way to find and hire the best home pros.
We're literally going to do the fastest horizontal thing ever that's been at the house you can in person.
My focus was understanding the brain. is the scene live outside the Army Public School. Taliban gunmen wearing army uniforms burst in the morning. Army commanders then arrived and there was a force gunfight. More than 100 people have also been injured. The targeting of children has caused widespread shock.
Today we had a chemistry paper exam. As I finished my paper, I was sitting inside the lab. Firing started. As the firing started, militants entered and opened fire on all the students. They killed a 2-year-old child.
The Pakistani Nobel Peace Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai, who campaigns for children's education, says she is heartbroken with what she calls a senseless and cold-blooded act of terror. We'll bring you the full story and every development here on Impact, live from Peshawar, Islamabad and Karachi. The Taliban has massacred at least 126 people, most of them children, at a school in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. Eyewitnesses say the attack began when 5 or 6 armed men wearing paramilitary uniforms scaled the school walls, entering the building and opened fire. Explosions were also heard. The army says most of the school's 500 students have been evacuated. 6 gunmen have reportedly been killed, 1 in a suicide blast. The Taliban says the attack is in retaliation for army operations in North Waziristan and other areas where hundreds of Taliban fighters are thought to have died. This report from the BBC's Paul Adams.
Pakistani troops rushing to contain the situation, but apparently too late to stop a massacre. Taliban gunmen wearing army uniforms burst into the military-run school in the morning. Army commandos arrived soon afterwards. Fierce gun battles followed. As news of the attack spread, anguished parents rushed to the scene, not knowing if their children were alive or dead. The military said a rescue operation was underway and that most students and staff had been evacuated. But as the day wore on, grim details started to emerge of a grenade thrown to distract guards and attackers blowing themselves up inside the school. A steady stream of ambulances carried the wounded to hospital. It's clear most of the injured and most of the dead are students. Survivors spoke of terrifying scenes, of panic in the classrooms, of children falling and screaming. Amir had just finished a chemistry exam. He was sitting in the lab when the firing started. He said gunmen came in and opened fire on the students. He said they killed a 2-year-old who just happened to be there. Ijaz Mohammed waits for news. One son safely out, another missing. I don't have any information, he says. My relatives are checking the hospitals. They can't find my son, dead or alive. The Prime Minister has called this a national tragedy, unleashed by savages.
No one should be in any doubt. This struggle, this war will continue. The government started the anti-terrorist operation in conjunction with the army. It's now showing results. And it'll continue until terrorism is rooted out from this land.
A Taliban spokesman told the Reuters news agency his group had chosen the army school because the government was targeting Taliban families. Revenge, you see, for an army offensive in North Waziristan.
Soviet occupation of Afghanistan onwards. They're also linked through the volatility and the conflict on both sides of the border. The two Talibans, the Pakistani and the Afghan.
As is a mass killing of children.
Chris, you are an international hostage negotiator, but is there any possible negotiation with suicide bombers? They know that they're not getting out of the incident alive. Where do you even begin?
Well, you can't negotiate a riot or a gunfight. This was a continuing gunfight. The suicide bombers came in here with the intent to not be communicated with, and actually were using violence as a form of communication. So with the most dangerous negotiation being the one you don't know you're in, you have to understand how the adversary is communicating to respond in a similar fashion.
And what does that mean, Chris? I mean, what does that mean, how that is communicating? What would you do?
At this point in time, it's communicating with violence. And the only thing to do is allow the violence is ongoing is communicate with violence and understand what the adversary is doing, which is a gunfight. Now, if they were to come to a point where they wanted to communicate and they were trying to use the children as hostages, then that changes the game. It's just merely continuing to recognize what exactly the adversary is doing.
Tom, part of why they say that this was chosen was because it's a soft target. Schools are soft targets. Obviously, that sends a shiver down the spine of any parent, even here in the U.S. Is there any way to harden the target to make sure that things like this don't happen in Pakistan or anywhere?
Well, they're going to happen. And, they don't have enough security forces to guard their own security forces. I mean, this is not a real soft target. It was kind of a compound, a wall compound where they scaled the walls and came in. So the Taliban is going to do their military operation against the military facility. Maybe not the most heavily guarded, but most of the facilities of the military and the police in that part of Pakistan are vulnerable just by the sheer numbers of Taliban and the tactics they use.
Chris, the Pakistan Taliban says that they were doing this in retaliation for the recent operations of the Pakistan Army. So what does the Pakistan Army do then?
Well, in many ways, the comment that the group is alive and well, they may be alive, but they're not particularly well because this kind of attack is like this to St Petersburg. They can engage on the battlefield they will. They're attacking children because they happen to be losing on the battlefield. And I think what they do is the Pakistani military should harden their targets as much as they can. They should probably continue the offensive that they're on. It's showing that it's working.
And I've asked this before, Tom, but it just doesn't make any sense to our logical minds. How does this advance their cause? How, in any way, does the slaughter of children help their recruitment or help their PR?
Because like all terrorism, they can't win at the battle box, or they're making the battle box. They can't win in combat, as Chris just mentioned. So the next act of terror is to influence the policies of Pakistan by intimidating the government of Pakistan and sending the message, and Chris is right, they're communicating a message to the Pakistani people: you're not safe, your children are not safe, nobody's children are safe, and we want certain things to happen, one of which is for the government to back off and let them control these tribal areas.
Chris, what does the U.S. government do about this attack?
Well, the U.S. government has got a tough call because the other thing that the Taliban wants is to lure the U.S. government back in and make them look like intruders and interlopers in the area. That's part of their measure. And they're also trying to make the U.S. government rethink possibly things that they've done in the past is make us look foolish in negotiating with them in the first place. So I think they're trying to make us look either foolish or incompetent.
Okay, and so given that, what do we change, Chris?
I think the overall policies of the region are supporting the people that are trying to advance the democratic process as much as possible and actually be a little more hands-on.
Chris Voss, Tom Fuentes, thanks so much for your expertise and sharing it with us.